What if I told you that the version of yourself you dream of becoming already exists, and the only thing standing between you and that person is a single quantum shift in how you perceive your own worthiness? There's a groundbreaking discovery in neuroscience that reveals why traditional confidence-building methods fail 97% of the time, and why trying to fake it till you make it actually rewires your brain for more self-doubt. The moment you understand what confidence really is at the quantum level, you stop trying to build something external and start remembering something that was always there. Everything changes. Here's what's shocking about this discovery. Most people spend their entire lives trying to gather evidence of their worthiness from the outside world, completely unconscious of the fact that they're looking in the wrong place. They chase achievements, accumulate possessions, seek validation from others, all while their internal world remains untouched, unchanged, and unconvinced. But they never ask why their external accomplishments never translate to genuine inner confidence. They're trying to fill an internal void with external achievements, which is like trying to quench thirst by looking at pictures of water. They perform confidence instead of embodying it, which just generates more of the same imposter syndrome, because they don't realize true confidence isn't built, it's revealed. And this is exactly why positive affirmations and fake it till you make it strategies don't work for most people. But there's a quantum principle that changes everything. When you understand that confidence isn't something you acquire, but something you uncover, something that's already present in the core of your being, you can stop performing and start being. I'm going to show you the exact 4-step confidence revelation protocol that transforms you from someone seeking validation into someone radiating authentic self-assurance. Plus, I'll give you the quantum identity technique that makes this shift automatic in just moments. So you become the person who naturally attracts what they desire instead of desperately chasing it. If this resonates with you, or if you've ever felt like you're wearing a mask of confidence while feeling uncertain inside, leave a comment saying, "I am ready to remember who I really am," and don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button for more transformational content that reveals the truth about authentic confidence and personal power. Every moment you spend seeking confidence outside yourself is a missed opportunity to discover the unshakable foundation that already exists within. And most people waste their entire lives looking in the wrong direction. When you came into this world, you didn't doubt your worthiness. You didn't question whether you deserved love, attention, or care. You simply existed in complete acceptance of your own being. Your very first breath wasn't preceded by self-doubt or comparison. It was a pure expression of life force claiming its right to exist. You knew something then that you've forgotten now. You knew that your worthiness wasn't conditional on performance, achievement, or approval from others. You existed in what we might call original confidence, the natural state of being that requires no evidence, no proof, no validation from the external world. But somewhere along the way, the world taught you to doubt this innate knowing. Teachers, parents, peers, media, and society began the slow process of conditioning you to believe that confidence was something you had to earn, something that came from doing enough, being enough, having enough. You learned to measure your worth by external standards instead of internal truth. Take a moment right now and remember the last time you felt truly confident. Not the performance of confidence, but the genuine feeling of being completely at ease with who you are. Where did that feeling come from? If you examine it closely, you'll notice it didn't come from anything you had or anything you achieved. It came from a moment of complete self-acceptance, a brief return to that original state where your worthiness was simply a given, not something to be questioned or proven. This is what I call authentic confidence, the kind that radiates from within rather than being constructed from without. It's not loud or boastful or aggressive. It's quiet, steady, and unshakable because it's rooted in truth rather than performance. Ancient wisdom traditions understood something we've forgotten in our achievement-obsessed culture. From the Sanskrit concept of Sat Chidananda to the biblical notion of being made in the image of the divine, cultures across time recognized that confidence wasn't something to be built, but something to be remembered. They knew that at the core of every being lies an unshakable essence, a diamond of consciousness that remains perfect regardless of external circumstances. In these traditions, the journey wasn't about becoming someone new, but about removing the layers of false conditioning that obscured who you already were. They understood that when you strip away the stories, the comparisons, the need for approval, what remains is naturally confident because it's naturally whole. Think about this. Every moment of genuine confidence you've ever experienced, every time you felt truly comfortable in your own skin, every instant of complete self-acceptance has been a glimpse of your authentic nature. These weren't achievements you earned. They were moments when the fog of conditioning lifted and you remembered who you really are. The difference between performed confidence and authentic confidence is the difference between a costume and your own skin. Performed confidence requires constant maintenance, constant vigilance, constant effort to uphold the image. Authentic confidence simply is. It doesn't need to prove itself because it knows itself. When you begin to recognize this authentic confidence as your natural state, rather than something you need to attain, something magical begins to happen. You stop trying to become confident and start allowing confidence to emerge. You stop performing worthiness and start embodying it. This is where confidence becomes not just a feeling, but a frequency, not just an attitude, but a state of being that naturally attracts all the experiences you've been chasing. What I'm about to reveal will completely transform how you understand your own potential. You think confidence comes from achievements, but it actually comes from remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Most of us spend our entire lives believing we are the stories others have told us about ourselves. We wake up in the morning and immediately the familiar voices begin. You're not smart enough. You're not attractive enough. You're not successful enough. You're not experienced enough. And we assume these critical voices represent reality, that they're telling us the truth about who we are. But what if I told you that's not who you really are? Right now, as you're listening to this, I want you to do something simple. Think about a time when you were completely absorbed in something you loved. Maybe you were painting, playing music, solving a problem, helping someone, or simply being in nature. In that moment, where was the inner critic? Where were the doubts about your worthiness? As you recall that experience, something remarkable becomes clear. In moments of pure engagement, pure flow, pure being, the critical voice disappears entirely. You're no longer thinking about whether you're good enough. You're simply being yourself, fully and completely. Here's the beautiful revelation. If the inner critic can disappear so completely that you forget it exists, then it cannot be who you really are. It's simply a collection of borrowed thoughts, inherited doubts, and learned limitations that you've been carrying around like someone else's luggage. This is the birth of authentic self-recognition, the part of you that exists beyond the endless stream of self-doubt and comparison. Think of it like looking in a mirror that's been covered with dust and smudges for years. You've been assuming the distorted reflection you see is who you really are. But when you begin to clean away the accumulation of other people's opinions, society's standards, and your own learned limitations, something amazing is revealed underneath. You see your true face, the one that was there all along. In ancient traditions, they used the metaphor of the sun and clouds. Your doubts and insecurities are like clouds passing across the vast expanse of your essential nature. Some clouds are dark and heavy. Fear of judgment, shame about past mistakes, anxiety about the future. Others are lighter, but still obscuring. The need to impress others, the compulsion to prove yourself, the habit of self-improvement without self-acceptance. But notice this. The sun itself is never diminished by the clouds. It remains constant, radiant, powerful whether the sky is clear or stormy. This authentic self is your true nature. The part of you that has remained unchanged since you were born. The part that will remain unchanged throughout your entire life. It's the witness, the awareness, the quiet presence that has been watching your entire story unfold without ever being diminished by any chapter. Your ego mind, that voice of doubt and comparison, wants you to believe you need to become someone different to be worthy of confidence. It creates elaborate stories about what you lack, what you need to improve, what others think of you. It lives in constant commentary about your past failures and anxiety about future performance. But the authentic self knows its worth without needing any evidence. It doesn't live in the past or future. It exists only in this moment, in the eternal now where true confidence naturally resides. When you begin to identify more with this authentic self and less with the stories of inadequacy, something profound shifts. You stop being reactive to criticism and become responsive from wisdom. Instead of being threatened by others' success, you can appreciate it without comparison. This is where your real confidence begins. Not from accomplishing more, but from remembering more about who you already are. The critical voice becomes your teacher instead of your tyrant because you recognize it's not you. Every time you return your attention to your authentic nature, you're returning home to natural confidence. You're stepping out of the drama of not being enough and into the peace of already being whole. This isn't just a psychological concept. This is quantum mechanics in action. The observer effect in quantum physics tells us that the act of observation literally changes what's being observed. When you become the conscious observer of your own authentic nature, when you witness the perfection that exists beneath the stories of imperfection, you gain the power to transform not just how you see yourself, but how others see you and how reality responds to you. Have you ever noticed that the most confident people aren't necessarily the most accomplished, but they seem to have access to something that others don't? Hidden in the space between self-doubt and self-assurance is a quantum field where transformation happens instantly. But most people never learn to access it because they're too busy trying to fix themselves to realize they were never broken. Those people you admire for their natural confidence, that quality that seems to emanate from them without effort, they haven't necessarily achieved more than you. They've simply learned to rest in a different place within themselves. They've discovered what I call the confidence field, that quantum space where your authentic nature intersects with infinite possibility. Take a moment right now, but this time, instead of focusing on what you think is wrong with you, I want you to focus on what has always been right. Think about the qualities that have remained constant throughout your life. Your capacity for love, your ability to learn, your desire to grow, your innate wisdom that somehow always knows the right thing to do, even when your mind is confused. These aren't things you developed. These are expressions of your essential nature. They were there when you were 5 years old, and they're here now. They'll be present until your last breath because they're not dependent on external circumstances. They're woven into the fabric of who you are. As you connect with these constant qualities, something interesting begins to happen. You start to sense a presence within yourself, a steady awareness that doesn't fluctuate based on whether you're having a good day or a bad day, whether you're succeeding or struggling, whether you're being praised or criticized. Ancient Egyptian initiates understood this profound secret. In the mystery schools along the Nile, students were taught to identify with what they call the eternal self, the part of consciousness that remains untouched by the changing circumstances of life. They called it dwelling in the heart of Ra, the unchanging sun of awareness that illuminates all experience without being altered by any of it. These weren't just philosophical concepts. They were practical instructions for accessing a state of being where confidence isn't something you have to generate, but something you simply are. The Egyptians knew what quantum physics is now proving. In the space between who you think you are and who you really are, infinite potential exists. It's like the moment of perfect stillness before a symphony begins. All the instruments are in place, the conductor's baton is raised, and in that pregnant pause, every possible musical expression exists simultaneously. Your authentic confidence exists in that same quantum space. In this field, something remarkable happens. Your usual mental commentary about not being enough, not having enough, not doing enough falls away. The constant comparison to others, the endless self-improvement projects, the desperate seeking of approval goes quiet. And in that silence, pure self-recognition crystallizes. Not the arrogant knowing of the ego that needs to prove itself superior, but the humble knowing of the soul that simply recognizes its own inherent worth. Think of this field as the womb of authentic confidence itself. Just as life grows in the quiet darkness of the mother's womb, your natural confidence needs this sacred inner space to emerge fully. The ancient mystics called it the chamber of truth, that impossibly intimate space where pretense cannot exist and only what's real remains. Most people avoid this inner encounter because they're afraid of what they might find. They'd rather stay busy improving themselves than risk discovering they were already perfect as they are. But when you learn to rest in this quantum field of authentic self-recognition, when you can be comfortable with the truth of your own being, you discover that this is where all real confidence lies. It's not about convincing yourself you're confident. It's about recognizing that confidence is your natural state when all the layers of conditioning are removed. In the confidence field, you're not trying to become someone else. You're communing with who you've always been. But accessing this quantum field is only the beginning. There's something deeper waiting to be embodied, and that embodiment happens through every cell in your body. Your body has been trying to tell you something for years that your mind has been too busy to hear. And those unheard messages are literally blocking your ability to radiate authentic confidence. That deeper embodiment I mentioned isn't found by thinking differently about yourself or creating more sophisticated mental strategies. It's discovered by descending from the realm of mind into the sacred intelligence of your physical being. Just as ancient civilizations built magnificent temples to house the divine presence, you too must learn to inhabit your own body as a temple of confidence, not with force and control, but with reverence and awareness. Think about the great temples of the world, the pyramids of Egypt, the cathedrals of Europe, the sacred spaces where people have gathered for millennia to touch something greater than their ordinary experience. These weren't built carelessly. Every stone was placed with intention. Every space designed to elevate and inspire. Your body is no different. It's already a temple of consciousness, but most of us have never learned to inhabit it as such. The ancient Egyptians understood this profoundly. They mapped the human body as a living temple with energy centers corresponding to different qualities of consciousness. They knew that authentic confidence wasn't just a mental concept, but a full-body experience that needed to be cultivated from the ground up, from your connection to the earth all the way through to your connection with the infinite. As you begin to inhabit your body more consciously, you might notice something interesting happening. Certain areas may feel contracted, defended, or somehow unavailable. Your shoulders might be carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. Your chest might feel armored, protecting a heart that learned to hide after experiencing judgment or rejection. Your throat might feel constricted from all the times you didn't speak your truth. Your belly might be tight with the anxiety of never feeling good enough. These aren't just physical tensions. They're biographical. Your body has been keeping score of every moment you chose safety over authenticity, every time you dimmed your light to fit in, every experience where you learned that being yourself wasn't acceptable. That tightness in your chest might be holding on to shame about a time when you were ridiculed for being enthusiastic. The tension in your shoulders could be carrying the burden of trying to be perfect for others. The constriction in your throat might be storing all the words you never allowed yourself to say. But here's the beautiful thing about conscious embodiment. It doesn't just reveal these patterns, it helps dissolve them. Each moment of conscious presence in your body is like gentle restoration work on your inner temple, clearing out old debris, opening blocked pathways, restoring the natural flow of life force that wants to move through you as authentic confidence. Imagine descending slowly through the floors of your inner temple with each breath. As you bring awareness into your heart space, you're visiting the chamber of authentic connection, the place where you meet yourself and others without pretense. As your attention moves into your solar plexus, you're entering the chamber of personal power, where your unique gifts and purpose reside. As you inhabit your pelvis and legs, you're grounding into the chamber of stability and presence. With each moment of conscious embodiment, you're not just observing these spaces. You're reclaiming them, blessing them, restoring them to their natural function as expressions of your authentic confidence. The Egyptians built their pyramids to channel cosmic energies into earthly form, creating structures that could hold and amplify divine power. Through conscious embodiment, you're doing the same thing with your body. You're aligning your physical presence with the higher frequencies of authentic confidence that want to express through you. This isn't about perfecting your body or forcing it to be different. It's about learning to inhabit it fully, to honor the intelligence that's been guiding you all along, and to clear the energetic contractions that have been preventing your natural confidence from radiating freely. Once your inner temple is consciously inhabited, something remarkable begins to happen to everything around you. Science has proven that your state of being creates an electromagnetic field that extends far beyond your physical body, which means you're unconsciously influencing everyone around you with your level of authentic confidence right now. That remarkable thing that begins to happen around you when you embody genuine confidence isn't just wishful thinking. It's measurable physics. Research in neuroscience and quantum field theory has shown that your nervous system generates an electromagnetic field that changes dramatically based on your internal state. When you're operating from anxiety, self-doubt, or the need to prove yourself, your field broadcasts that uncertainty to everyone within its reach. People can sense it even if they can't name it. But when you embody authentic confidence, when you're resting in the truth of your own worth rather than trying to convince yourself or others of it, your field becomes a source of stability that others are naturally drawn to. Think of your confidence field like the surface of a mountain lake. When you're seeking validation or trying to perform confidence, you're like someone throwing stones into the water, creating waves and ripples that disturb the natural peace. But when you embody authentic confidence, you become like the mountain itself, reflected perfectly on the lake's still surface. Solid, grounded, and magnetically peaceful. Have you ever walked into a room where someone was present who just seemed to have that quality, that undefinable something that made everyone feel more at ease? Have you ever noticed how certain people seem to carry permission with them wherever they go, permission for others to relax, to be themselves, to stop trying so hard? This isn't charisma in the performing sense. It's the natural magnetism of someone who has made peace with their own being. This field effect extends to every interaction you have. When you operate from authentic confidence before difficult conversations, you're not just preparing yourself psychologically. You're creating an energetic container that can hold whatever needs to emerge without judgment or reactivity. When you walk into your workplace embodying genuine self-acceptance, you're subtly giving everyone permission to do the same, making it easier for creativity and authentic collaboration to flow. Children are especially sensitive to these fields. They haven't yet learned to override their natural intuition, so they respond immediately to the energy you're broadcasting. When an adult is anxious about their performance or worried about being judged, children often become restless or clingy without understanding why. But when that same adult settles into authentic confidence, when they stop trying to be perfect and just allow themselves to be present, children naturally relax and open up. The beautiful thing about understanding your confidence field is that it reveals how intimately connected we all are. You're not just an isolated individual trying to improve your self-esteem. You're part of a vast web of consciousness, and every moment you spend in authentic self-acceptance contributes to a field of permission and peace that benefits everyone you encounter. But this influence isn't something you need to think about or manage. It happens naturally when you focus on inhabiting your own being fully. The field responds to authenticity, not performance. When you embody confidence from a genuine place of self-recognition and acceptance, that genuineness radiates outward without any effort on your part. This is why the ancient teachings often spoke of the awakened person as someone who serves simply by being. They understood that consciousness itself is contagious, that authentic confidence is magnetic, and that one person resting in their true nature can shift the energy of an entire space. You've traveled far in these moments together, not across distances, but across the layers of who you thought you were to discover who you've always been. The most confident people in history mastered one thing that changes everything: how to access infinite self-worth through absolute self-acceptance. And in traveling through these layers of authentic recognition, you've discovered something the world of endless self-improvement doesn't want you to know. The most confident thing you can do is often to stop trying to become confident and simply be who you already are. We live in a culture that worships becoming, that tells us more effort equals more worth, that keeps us constantly striving, constantly improving, constantly reaching towards some future version of ourselves. But the field of authentic confidence, the quantum space where transformation actually happens, operates by completely different principles. The confidence field doesn't respond to how hard you try to be worthy. It responds to how fully you accept your inherent worth. It doesn't care about your achievements or your 5-year plan for self-improvement. It cares about your willingness to show up as you are right now, in this moment, without apology or pretense. And the most confident state of all is what I call dynamic authenticity. Not the authenticity of someone who has given up on growth, but the authenticity of someone who has learned to grow from love rather than from lack. Think about a great oak tree for a moment. It doesn't strain to be tall. It doesn't compare itself to other trees. It doesn't worry about whether it's growing fast enough or in the right direction. It simply draws nourishment from the earth and reaches toward the sun, trusting the intelligence that guides its growth. This is the kind of authentic confidence that moves worlds. When you learn to embody this oak-like presence, something extraordinary happens. Reality begins to rearrange itself around your authentic being instead of requiring you to contort yourself to fit into reality. Opportunities that align with who you really are begin to appear naturally. People who resonate with your authentic frequency seem to find you at exactly the right moment. Solutions to challenges you've been struggling with suddenly become obvious. This isn't magic. It's alignment. When you're in a state of authentic confidence, you're no longer broadcasting the chaotic signals of trying to be someone else. Instead, you're emanating the clear frequency of self-acceptance, presence, and trust. The world responds to this clarity by reflecting back experiences that match your state of being. Consider the eye of a hurricane. All around it, winds rage with destructive force. Chaos and turbulence swirl in every direction. But at the very center is perfect calm, perfect stillness. From that center, the entire storm system is organized. This is the kind of authentic confidence you can cultivate within yourself. Not the confidence of someone who is performing or proving, but the confidence of someone who has learned to be the calm center around which their entire life organizes itself. The difference between performed confidence and authentic confidence becomes crystal clear in this space. Performed confidence tries to manipulate external circumstances to validate internal worth. Authentic confidence allows internal recognition to magnetize external harmony. Performed confidence is exhausting because you're constantly fighting against the natural flow of life. Authentic confidence is effortless because you're cooperating with the truth of who you are. When you embody authentic confidence, when you rest in the quantum field of self-recognition, when you inhabit your inner temple fully, you're not trying to make things happen. You're allowing things to happen through you. You become a clear channel for the intelligence of life to express itself in your unique way. This doesn't mean becoming passive or complacent. True confidence is incredibly alive, incredibly creative. It's the confidence of someone who knows their worth is not in question, so they're free to explore, experiment, and contribute from a place of joy rather than need. From this place, your actions become effortless and incredibly effective because they're arising from authenticity rather than anxiety, from love rather than lack. Now, as we prepare to complete this journey together, you're not returning to who you were before we began. You're returning to who you've always been underneath all the stories, all the doubts, all the attempts to become someone else. The recognition brought you here, and now it reveals the final truth. Confidence is not something you build. Confidence is something you are. You've journeyed through the quantum nature of authentic confidence, discovering that true self-assurance isn't constructed from achievements, but revealed through self-recognition. You've awakened the authentic self within, that eternal part of you that exists beyond the endless commentary of not being enough. In the confidence field between doubt and certainty, you found the sacred space where transformation happens instantly through acceptance rather than effort. Through conscious embodiment of your inner temple, you've learned that your body is not just a vessel for your consciousness, but a living sanctuary that can radiate authentic confidence when you inhabit it fully. You've discovered that your state of being creates an electromagnetic field extending far beyond your physical presence, making you a constant broadcaster of either anxiety or authentic confidence to everyone you encounter. And finally, you've touched the profound truth that the most confident action is often no action at all. The dynamic authenticity that allows reality to organize itself around your true nature rather than requiring you to perform a version of yourself that isn't real. There will be moments when the old patterns try to return, when comparison creeps in, when the voice of not being enough gets loud, when you feel tempted to perform confidence rather than embody it. In those moments, remember the shortest path home is recognition. 3 conscious breaths can bring you back to authentic self-awareness. 1 moment of genuine self-acceptance can reconnect you to the confidence field. A single instant of allowing yourself to be as you can restore your inner temple. This isn't about perfection. It's about returning. Each time you remember to choose authenticity over performance, self-acceptance over self-improvement, being over becoming, you're not just having a better day. You're literally rewiring your nervous system for natural confidence. You're becoming a living demonstration that worthiness is inherent, not earned, that confidence is revealed, not built, and that the person you dream of being already exists within the person you are right now. Now, as you move forward from this recognition, take this truth with you. Let authentic self-acceptance be your compass. Let genuine presence be your power. Let the recognition of your inherent worth walk with you in every interaction, every choice, every moment of doubt transformed into a moment of remembering. So embody your confidence, not to impress others, but to express your truth, not to prove your worth, but to live from your worth, not to become someone else, but to be more fully yourself. The recognition is the key. You are the door. Step through into the life that's been waiting for you to remember who you really are.